The house almost burned down. I'm fine. But you might not have been. Don't you see? This is exactly why you can't stay here. It's not safe. I looked at her. Really looked at her. My daughter. The baby girl I'd rocked to sleep and taught to read and walked down the aisle at her wedding. When had she started looking at me like I was broken? I didn't ask for your help, I said. You don't have to ask. You're my mother. It's my responsibility. No, it's your excuse. She stepped back. That's not fair. You want to know what's not fair? Your father died and left me alone, and I survived it. I got up every morning even though I didn't want to. I kept going even when the house felt too empty and the nights were too long and I couldn't remember why I was supposed to keep breathing. My voice was shaking, but I didn't stop. And the only reason I could do that was because Oliver was there. Because your father loved me enough to make sure I wouldn't be completely alone. And now you want to take that away from me. You want to put me in a place where I can't have him, where I can't have my home, where I can't have any choice about my own life. We're trying to keep you safe, Sarah said, but her voice was smaller now. I don't want to be safe. I want to be alive. Before Sarah could respond, Captain Mitchell came out the front door. He was carrying Oliver. I stood up so fast, the chair fell backward. Oliver was pressed against the captain's chest, ears flat, eyes wide, but alive. Captain Mitchell walked straight to me, placed Oliver in my arms. Oliver melted into me, made that sound, half meow, half cry, pressed his face into my neck. I held him, and I couldn't stop shaking. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you. He was right where you said, top shelf in the closet, behind the blue blankets. Oliver's heart was racing against my chest, but he wasn't trying to get away. He was clinging to me. I looked up at Captain Mitchell. The house? Fire's out. Damage is mostly contained to the living room. Some smoke damage throughout, but it's structurally sound. You'll need repairs, but it's livable. Sarah stepped forward. Are you sure she should stay here tonight? With the smoke damage, Mom can stay with me, Mrs. Chen interrupted, just for tonight, while the smoke clears. No, I said. Everyone looked at me. No, I said again. I'm staying here, in my house, with Oliver. Mom, be reasonable. I turned to Sarah, Oliver still in my arms, his claws dug into my sweater, holding on. I am being reasonable, I said. This is my home. Oliver is my family, and you don't get to take that from me. Mom, no. My voice was steady now, strong. I'm not moving. I'm not going to Meadowbrook. I'm not giving up Oliver. This is my life, mine, not yours. Sarah looked at Captain Mitchell, like she wanted him to back her up, tell me I was being irrational. But he just stood there, neutral, watching. Mom, can we at least talk about this? There's nothing to talk about. I already told you no, months ago, but you didn't listen. You just kept pushing, kept planning, kept deciding things for me. Because you weren't making good decisions. I made the decision to stay in my home, with my cat. That's a perfectly good decision. What about the stove? What about the fall? What about them? I forgot the stove once, and nothing happened. I tripped in the garden, got a scrape. That's called being human, not being incompetent. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. I'm just scared, Mom. I'm scared something will happen to you and I won't be there. My anger softened, just a little. I know, I said. But Sarah, something's going to happen to me eventually. Whether I'm here or at Meadowbrook or on the moon, we don't get to avoid it. And I'd rather spend whatever time I have left in my own home, with my own things and my own cat, than spend it in a place that's safe and clean and completely wrong. She was crying now. I don't want to lose you. You're not going to lose me. But you can't keep me in a cage either. Even if it's a nice cage. Oliver shifted in my arms, relaxed slightly. His purr started up. quiet but steady. Sarah looked at him, then at me. He really means that much to you. He's not just a cat, Sarah. He's the last thing your father gave me. The last piece of him that's still here. When I hold Oliver, I can still feel your father's love. I can still remember that I mattered enough to him that he thought about me even when he was dying. That he made sure I wouldn't be alone. I paused, took a breath. If I give up Oliver, I give up that. I give up the proof that I was loved, that I was worth taking care of. And I can't do that. I won't. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she wiped her eyes. Okay. Okay. Okay, you can stay. You can keep Oliver. She took a shaky breath. But you have to let me help you. Let me come over more. Let me check in. Let me make sure you're actually okay. Not because I think you're incompetent, but because I love you, and I'm scared, and I need to know you're safe. I looked at her, my daughter, scared and trying too hard and meaning well even when she was wrong. I can do that, I said. She nodded, stepped forward, hugged me carefully, Oliver between us. I'm sorry, she whispered, about the papers, about planning without asking you. I thought I was helping. I know. I'll cancel the Meadowbrook room. Good. She pulled back, managed a small smile. He is pretty cute, for a cat who almost burned down your house. Oliver's ear twitched, annoyed. I kissed the top of his head. He didn't mean to. Captain Mitchell cleared his throat. Mrs. Holloway, we need to ventilate the house. Open windows, get the smoke out. It'll take a few hours. You might want to wait outside. Can I go in to get things? I asked. Clothes for tomorrow? Oliver's food? He nodded. I'll escort you. 5 minutes. Sarah started to follow, but Captain Mitchell held up a hand. Just Mrs. Holloway. Too many people will slow the ventilation. I appreciated that. Inside, the living room looked worse than I expected. The curtains were gone, black marks up the wall, the smell of smoke everywhere. But the rest of the house was intact, smoke damaged but standing. Captain Mitchell waited in the hallway while I went to my bedroom, Oliver still in my arms, refusing to let go. I grabbed a change of clothes, Oliver's food from the kitchen, his favorite blanket from the couch, the blue one, with the worn corner where he needed when he was happy. In the closet where Captain Mitchell had found him, I looked up at the top shelf, at the blankets Oliver had hidden behind. Smart boy, I whispered to him. You remembered your safe spot. His purr got louder. I came back out. Captain Mitchell was looking at a photo on the hallway table. Me and Thomas from our 30th anniversary. Both of us smiling. Thomas's arm around me. Your husband? He asked. Yes, Thomas. He had good taste in cats. I smiled. First real smile all night. He had good taste in everything. We went back outside. Sarah was talking to Mrs. Chen, making arrangements. She looked up when she saw me. Mrs. Chen says you can stay there tonight. She has a spare room. She even has a litter box from when her daughter's cat visited. Mrs. Chen nodded. It's no trouble, Margaret. You and Oliver are welcome. Thank you, I said. And I meant it. Captain Mitchell's radio crackled. Someone calling for him. He responded, then looked back at me. We'll finish ventilating. You should be able to come back tomorrow afternoon. I'll have someone from the city inspector's office contact you about the repairs. Thank you, Captain, for everything. He nodded, started to walk away. Captain Mitchell? He turned back. You listened to me, I said. When I was falling apart on my lawn, telling you my whole life story, you listened. And then you found Oliver anyway, even though you probably had more important things to do. He was quiet for a moment. Mrs. Holloway, I've been a firefighter for 18 years, and I've learned that sometimes the most important thing we do isn't putting out the fire. It's understanding what people can't afford to lose. He glanced at Oliver in my arms. You couldn't afford to lose him, so I made sure you didn't have to. My throat tightened. Thank you. He nodded once more, then headed back to his crew. Mrs. Chen's spare room was small but clean. She set up the litter box in the bathroom, put out food and water for Oliver. You rest, she said. I'll be right across the hall if you need anything. After she left, I sat on the bed. Oliver jumped up next to me, circled twice, settled into my lap. I stroked his head, his ears, the soft spot under his chin that he loved. We're okay, I told him. We're staying home, you and me. He looked up at me with those green eyes, the same eyes that had looked at Thomas 15 years ago when he'd held this tiny kitten in the shelter. Thomas had known, even then, even dying. He'd known what I would need. Not just a cat, but a reason to get up in the morning. A living thing that depended on me, that needed me, that made the empty house feel less empty. Sarah wanted to help me. I understood that now. But she didn't understand that helping me didn't mean taking away my choices. It meant supporting the choices I made, even when she didn't agree with them. I'd told her no months ago, but she hadn't listened. Tonight, she finally heard me. I laid down on the bed, Oliver curled up against my chest, his purr steady and warm. Tomorrow, I'd go back to my house, survey the damage, make plans for repairs. But tonight, I was here. Oliver was here. We were both safe, and that was enough.
That was Margaret Holloway. I'm Captain Dean Mitchell, Station 47. We got the call just after 8 p.m. House fire, smoke visible from the street. When we arrived, Margaret was on her lawn fighting her neighbors, desperate to go back inside for her 15-year-old cat. I've seen people risk their lives for pets before. It happens more than you'd think. But Margaret's desperation wasn't just about saving an animal. It was about saving the last gift her dying husband gave her. Thomas Holloway knew he was dying. Knew his wife would be alone in a house they'd shared for decades. So he took her to a shelter, picked out a 6-month-old orange kitten, and named him Oliver. This cat is going to take care of you when I can't, he told her. And for 15 years, Oliver did exactly that. But Margaret's family wanted her to move to assisted living. A safe place, a clean place, a place with activities and nurses and meals provided, a place that doesn't allow pets. They'd already made the plans, put down deposits, set move-in dates, decided her life for her, because they loved her, because they were scared, because they thought they knew what was best. But here's what I keep thinking about. When does caring for someone become controlling them? Margaret is 73. She forgot to turn off the stove once. She tripped in her garden. She's not perfect. But she's not broken either. She wanted to stay in her home, with her memories, with the cat her husband gave her, with her independence and her choices and her life on her terms. And her family wanted to take all of that away, not maliciously. But because they couldn't see the difference between helping someone and deciding for them. You know what firefighters see all the time? We see people fighting to save what matters to them, their homes, their possessions, their pets, their independence. And sometimes what matters most isn't the safest thing. It isn't the smartest thing. It isn't what everyone else thinks they should care about. But it's theirs. And that matters. Margaret fought for Oliver because Oliver represents something bigger than a cat. He represents being seen, being loved, being thought about even after the person who loved you is gone. When Thomas gave her that kitten, he was saying, "You matter. Your loneliness matters. Your need for companionship matters. And I'm going to make sure you have it, even when I'm not here anymore." That's not just a gift. That's love continuing. Carried forward by a 15-year-old orange cat who still sleeps on the couch every evening and still purrs when Margaret needs to hear it most. I found Oliver on the top shelf of Margaret's closet, right where she said he'd be, hiding from the noise and the chaos and the fear. When I brought him out and put him in Margaret's arms, she held him like he was the most precious thing in the world, because to her, he is. Not because he's a cat, because he's proof. Proof that she was loved. Proof that someone thought about her future when they couldn't be part of it. Proof that she wasn't forgotten. That night, Margaret stood on her lawn and told her daughter no. Not in anger, not in defiance, but in strength. This is my life, mine, not yours. And her daughter finally listened. Here's what I want you to hear. If you have someone in your life pushing you to give up what matters to you for your own good, you're allowed to say no. You're allowed to choose your own version of safety, your own version of happiness, your own version of what makes life worth living, even if it's messier, even if it's riskier, even if everyone else thinks you're making the wrong choice. It's your life. You get to decide. And if you're the one trying to help someone, if you love someone who's aging or struggling or making choices you don't understand, ask yourself this: are you helping them live their life, or are you making them live yours? Because there's a difference, a big one. Margaret's house has smoke damage and a burned wall and repairs that'll take weeks, but she's staying because it's her home, because Oliver needs familiar spaces, because she gets to decide. Sometimes the bravest thing we do isn't rushing into burning buildings. It's standing on our own lawn and saying, "This is mine, and you can't take it from me." If you've ever been told you're too old, too stubborn, too attached to something everyone else thinks doesn't matter, I see you, Margaret sees you, and we're telling you, you're not wrong for fighting for what matters to you. If this story resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you want more stories from Station 47, subscribe. Stay safe out there.